The mission of the Allies and Partners Force Development Division is to deliver collaborative force development capabilities between the joint forces, allies, and partners through coordinated engagements to prevail in competition and conflict. APFDD is a collaboration between nations using bilateral relationships to increase understanding, support efforts, develop forces, and increase interoperability.
Within APFDD, the significance of the Multinational Capability Development Campaign is that it serves as a mechanism whereby nations are able to collaborate together to help solve interoperability problems.
APFDD is a collaboration between nations using liaison officers who leverage national engagement plans with established objectives and specific activities to advance our partnerships and improve understanding.
APFDD is a collaboration across the Joint Staff Services and Combatant Command Multinational Coordination Centers to establish policy throughout the DoD in order to support liaison officers and ensure consistent integration throughout the Joint Staff.
APFDD is a division of the Joint Warfighting Development Deputy Directorate under the Director of the Joint Force Development, or the J7, in the Joint Staff. APFDD consists of two branches, the Allies and Partners Engagement Branch and the Multinational Capability Development Campaign Branch.
The United States Joint Staff Joint Force Development Directorate, or J7, trains, educates, develops, designs, and adapts the globally integrated partnered joint force to achieve overmatch in the continuum of conflict under conditions of accelerating change in the character of war. Both current and future security challenges are no longer neatly contained by the artificial boundaries established by the United States Combatant Command areas of responsibility. These threats have global reach, effectively using the additional domains of space, information, cyber, and the electromagnetic spectrum to their advantages. The importance of our network of allies and partners is a consistent theme in all U.S. strategic guidance. The importance of collaboration with partners cannot be underestimated as the joint force adapts to address projected future challenges. The Joint Force recognizes the value of our network of alliances and partnerships as a significant force multiplier. This provides our combined forces a substantial asymmetric advantage over our adversaries, who do not enjoy the benefits of the same support.
Joint Force Development Directorate is divided into three deputy directorates. Joint Force Integration builds enduring programs and strengthens the relationships between Joint Force Development and external stakeholders. Joint Force Training ensures the Joint Force is trained, exercised, and ready to deter, defend, and prevail in future conflict. Joint Warfighting Development ensures the Joint Force has the education, doctrine, and knowledge of the most current concepts and an understanding of required capabilities. The Joint Warfighting Development Deputy Directorate is divided into four divisions: Joint Education and Doctrine, Joint Futures and Concepts, Joint Wargaming and Experimentation, and the Allies and Partners Force Development Division.
APFDD uses the perspectives of both national force development counterparts and the Multinational Capability Development Campaign to influence all joint force development mission areas, including doctrine, futures and concepts, education, war games and experiments, training and exercises, and lessons learned. Engagement with national force development counterparts is essential to increasing understanding of mutually supporting efforts and leads to a coordinated approach to joint force development. This ensures that all our nations develop forces that are interdependent and interoperable for the benefit of the future warfighter. Liaison officers are instrumental in the relationships that help develop the joint force. Each liaison officer drives his or her nation's engagement plan with force development objectives and specific activities for their nation.
MCDC is a coalition of the willing. We aim at improving interoperability across our nation's militaries. Our governance structure allows us to tap into senior leaders who are from force development organizations within their militaries.
The Joint Staff Multinational Working Group coordinates efforts to align the Joint Staff guidance, policies, and priorities for the liaison officers' assignments and ensures awareness of the multinational engagement opportunities throughout the Joint Force.
APFDD is a small staff of government civilians divided between the MCDC and Allied and Partners Engagement Branch. A great strength of the program is the support of over 20 military reserve officers assigned to APFDD. The reserve officers provide essential continuous support to both the engagement branch and MCDC projects.
APFDD coordinates with the J7 liaison to NATO's Allied Command Transformation, which performs the same missions within the alliance that the J7 performs for the Joint Force. The State Department political advisor to the J7 also provides essential guidance to the APFDD staff to ensure full mission accomplishment.
Liaison officers represent their nation's force development counterpart organizations. All assigned officers are colonel or captain equivalents or lieutenant colonel and commander equivalents and are empowered through their national chains of command to provide direct support to J7 missions. This list of relationships is constantly assessed for strategic relevance and is growing as the Joint Staff seeks relationships with those nations that can provide access, basing, overflight, indications, influence, and combat power.
It's impossible for APFDD to perform this mission in a vacuum. Depicted here are the many interdependent relationships with equity in joint force development work.
APFDD coordinates with the U.S. defense attachés in each nation to ensure that our efforts in developing the combined force of the future is understood and supportive of overall national objectives. The combating commands have the responsibility for maintaining key security cooperation relationships with the nations in their assigned areas of responsibility. And in addition to that, each has a multinational coordination center that synchronizes efforts with APFDD. APFDD coordinates with national force development counterpart organizations, and these relationships are only possible through the investment in a liaison officer. The Multinational Capability Development Campaign Executive Steering Group, so the MCDC-ESG, consists of 2-star senior leaders who guide the nation or organization's efforts in MCDC.
So defense attachés in DC are essential to the support of liaison officers as well as key leader engagements. The Office of the Secretary of Defense and the Joint Staff J5 have desk officers assigned for each of the liaison officer nations with the responsibility of directing policy and overreaching goals for engagements with these countries. The Joint Staff J5 Framework Secretariat hosts liaison officers who represent their chairman or chief of defense counterparts and work with the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff to develop a coordinated approach to certain operational challenges.
The missions of the J7 in Joint Force Development are tied very closely with the J6 missions of Combined Joint All-Domain Command and Control, Future Mission Networking, and the Bold Quest Joint Fires series of demonstrations.
The engagement branch supports liaison officers assigned throughout the directorates of the Joint Staff. The officers are assigned to the Joint Staff J3, J4, J5, J6, J7, and J8, although the largest concentration is in APFDD. The engagement branch supports the development of each liaison officer's engagement plan and key leader engagements between the J7 and force development counterparts in other nations. This ensures that the bilateral work in common mission areas is understood and mutually beneficial. Additionally, the engagement branch leads a war game series with liaison officers and their national subject matter experts to guide certain areas of joint force development. The success of the bilateral work is dependent on the liaison officer actively contributing to the execution of their engagement plan, the liaison officer's national force development organization providing sound guidance and clear priorities, and the U.S. providing support to ensure the liaison officer has the information and resources required to succeed and achieve their national objectives.
The Multinational Capability Development Campaign is a framework, and it's a mechanism. It serves as a mechanism whereby nations are able to collaborate. Nations collaborate within the MCDC framework. They bring forth their national capability priorities. A 2-year cycle, first of all, you got to get the problem right, so you spend time up front analyzing what kinds of military problems we're after that allows us to focus on what it is we want to achieve together. We work together over cycles, we plan together, we execute together, and we assess together so that at the end of the day you have a usable product that every nation and organization has buy-in.
MCDC contributor nations have a representative for the Executive Steering Group, a National Director, and project supporters. The Executive Steering Group meets twice a year and ensures that the projects are appropriately scoped and that production of the approved program is on track. The National Directors meet every other week to ensure that the project teams remain productive. Contributor nations benefit from all the solutions developed during the 24-month cycle.
In an increasingly complex security environment, we are members of an unparalleled and unprecedented network of alliance and partnerships. Together, we share many common values and a common interest in defending the stable and open international system. Our goal is to combine and integrate these qualities and advantages with our allies and partners to sustain and strengthen an international system under threat. APFDD leverages diverse perspectives from the best and brightest minds all over the world to ensure a more aligned, combined joint force.